The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, folding closures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au. Welcome to the KRGS Doors podcast. I'm your host, Drew Blackman. The aim of our podcast is to talk to cool people with cool stories, whether it be our suppliers, customers, staff, other business owners, or people from different walks of life, and get to know them a bit better. If you're interested in coming on, drop us a line or email, or connect with us via Facebook, and we can have a chat to see what we can do. On today's podcast, we're joined by KRGS Doors Managing Director Clayton Blackman and another Managing Director, Jeremy Dyer from Total Fitouts. Today's podcast is breaking new ground for us here, as we're hooked up via Skype. Based in Brisbane, Total Fitouts offer a concept to completion fit-out service throughout Australia and New Zealand. Although not your standard shopfitter, Total Fitouts have 21 franchises. So no matter your location, they have an international offering with local service. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Jeremy Dyer. Thank you for joining us on the podcast, Jeremy. You're based up there in Brisbane. How's the weather? Mate,
thank you for having me. Great to be here. And the weather is fabulous, mate. As they say, Vegas pulls it off every time this time of year. It's lovely, I think, probably sitting at about 25 degrees, a few clouds, and a hell of a lot better than Melbourne or Sydney, just quietly.
Yeah, Sydney, we've had a little bit of rain this morning and overnight, so it's chilly of a morning and then hits sort of mid-20s during the day. And then
temperature's dropping now, mate. Now we've finished daylight saving.
You're back on the normal time, which is
nice.
Yeah,
you blokes have caught up with us. It's about time.
What is the Jeremy Dyer story?
Mate, the Jeremy Dyer story. Where to start? Actually, we'll start with. I mean, one of things you mentioned. You said, "Well, tell me a bit about you're married or whatnot." Obviously, with this whole coronavirus thing going on, we're actually set to get married next month on the 2nd. That got cancelled. We were having a big thing down the Hunter Valley, and that also got cancelled.
Great spot.
And then, great spot. Would have loved to have done it down there, but we basically decided then, okay, we're just going to get married at the registry, and then the registry said, well, you can have 12 people because of all this. Then they emailed back and said you can have 5 people. Then they emailed back and said, look, we've actually cancelled your wedding. So we went, oh, that's fun.
Wow.
So
did you get the deposit back?
Yeah, got the deposit back. I don't know if I should have just taken it as a sign or. But no, mate. So we 2 weeks ago we were sitting at home having a glass of wine and on a Thursday afternoon, and I said, why don't we just get married this weekend before it all just turns nasty? Why don't we just get married? And she said, yep, again. And anyway, I called a local celebrant and said, mate, is there any way you can marry us? And he said, yeah, I can do it. Come do it on your balcony if you want. You're allowed 2 witnesses. And we said, great, let's do it. And we ended up doing it a little bit differently. Went and got a hotel room in Mooloolaba on the Sunshine Coast. So just went north about an hour and 20 minutes. And mate, tied the knot Saturday 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations, mate.
Congratulations.
Okay, so mate, ring there and I'm locked and loaded. So
in 2 weeks, you've lost your hair.
Yeah, mate, it's amazing what marriage does.
Torn your hair out in 2 weeks.
I think that's from working at home together.
I was going to say, what a great way to start a marriage, 14 days in lockdown.
Yeah, that's going to test you out, mate, isn't it?
Mate, it's testing. So we've both been working from home, and we literally got married. We were away for a night, came back, and our honeymoon was working again together. From,
business as usual.
I'm just glad we don't work in the same business.
Yes.
Business as usual. So we'll get a honeymoon at some point.
Yeah, mate. Well done.
No kids. Live in the city in Brisbane and Fortitude Valley, where all the action is. Love it.
Very nice. So how did you start in the shop fitting industry?
Yeah, mate. So back when I was 21, actually, of all things, I was at a 21st birthday party, and this guy came up to me, and he was the father-in-law of the girls' party we were at, and had a chat to him. I knew him through, my mate. He was my dad's mate. My mate's dad, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing with yourself?" And I was a BDM at the time. I was working in the veterinary industry, and he said, "Well, mate, you should sell fit outs." And I said, "Well, I've always wanted to, get into construction. That was something I'd always planned as a kid to do. I just never ended up doing an apprenticeship or anything like that. And I thought that'd actually be really good. No experience, but hey, it'd be good. And he goes, well, I'll take you under my wing. And so when I worked for them, we did medical predominantly. So we were based on the Sunshine Coast, but we're a national business. And mate was there for a couple of years and just learned the ropes from a BDM perspective through there. And then mate finished with them, took a bit of a break, went into commercial banking for a year, and then decided that I really love the fit out industry and wanted to do my own thing. So I looked at an option to do a mature age apprenticeship. You know, it wasn't really a great option going from, you know, commercial banking money to
on the tools
mature age apprenticeship. So I said, okay, there's got to be another way around this. I'm really good at what I do on the front end. I love business. I love people. You know, I think my skills there would probably be a little bit wasted just on the tools. And so I said, okay, well, there's got to be another way around this. I don't want to do the apprenticeship. I found a builder and I said, okay, mate, I've got the front end. I know the business side. I've still got a whole bunch of contacts. You've got the builder's license. You're a great builder. Would you like to go into business together? Go 50-50. And we started our own. I think I was 24 at the time. We started our own fit-out business on the Sunshine Coast. And we did predominantly medical from North Queensland down to Victoria. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of learning, a lot of challenges. And my business partner was about twice my age at the time, and he was sort of wanting to slow down. And I was a young buck wanting to take over the world.
ramp it up.
Had ramp it up, had plenty of hair at that time. We split ways, and I went to one of my mentors, and he's actually the CEO of GJ Gardner Homes worldwide. And I used to catch up with him every month for brekkie and take him out. And I said, mate, look, I need to, I'm looking at ending this partnership. For all good reasons. There's nothing wrong with the person, but just I could see we're going in different directions. He said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, got an idea. And pitched him the idea of Total Fitouts. So GJ Gardner's obviously very well-known home building business across Australia, New Zealand and America. They're a franchise system, so they get local builders and take a similar model to we do. Him and Greg Gardner came back to me within 24 hours and said, we love it. So we started Total Fitouts.
So you took the GJ Gardner model and blended it into the shop fit out side of things.
Yeah, correct.
What year was that, Jeremy? When did that kick off?
Mate, so that was 2013. We registered the business November 2013. I think we went to market in June 2014 with our first franchise up on the Sunshine Coast. We then grew pretty quickly. I think we were in New Zealand in 2015. Then that year we hit New South Wales, Victoria pretty quick. And at the moment, we're sitting at 21 offices across Australia and New
21,
Zealand.
wow. That's fantastic.
We've grown. It's obviously had its challenges, but as all businesses do. But we've got an amazing bunch of people, and the growth trajectory has just been strong, and will continue to be, especially when we can get back to business fully after this coronavirus.
For sure, and obviously I've had a little bit of first-hand experience with Total Fitouts because, like I mentioned in our last podcast, just recently was in February. Total Fitouts had their yearly conference at Kingscliff, and we were lucky enough to participate and come along and meet with the franchisees and also Jeremy's team. It was really good, mate. It was one of the most professional conferences that I've been to and been involved with. Had some fantastic speakers. I really enjoyed the speaker that you had on I think it was Thursday.
Yep.
The American guy.
Yeah. Chris. Yep.
Chris
Adams.
Mate, he was really, really good. I got some things out of his, and I used one of his stories about Neiman Marcus, and I still remember that. From that, actually, I've got their emblem, their brand, Neiman Marcus, on my desk.
There you go.
Just as a reminder every day.
Well, I'll shoot you a little bill in the mail, so you should get that the next week.
But no, that was really good to see what you're doing and the way those franchisees come together, and obviously having those it helps us as a supplier. Like obviously trying to bargaining with those franchisees as because you've sort of got 21 shop fitters, all under the one banner.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing that impressed me.
Look, they're really important events for us. We've been doing them, pretty much every year since we started. We go all over the spot from Noosa to Brisbane to Melbourne to Sydney, Queenstown, Kingscliff, and we find, our business is wholly and solely about relationship, and we find those events. The thing that, like, the speakers are great. The business sessions are great. The time of the suppliers is amazing. The biggest thing we find our guys take away from those events is the ability to build relationship with their peers and with their support.
Well, that was probably one of the things I noticed too, mate, was the way each owner of Total Fitouts, so each franchisee, they can talk. They're talking the same language.
Yeah,
and they're in different states, so they're not trying to knock each other's work off type thing. They're in different areas, but they're all on the same page.
And the amazing thing about it is, and this is probably what I'm most proud of in the business, is the culture of the business and the culture of the team. And
brilliant.
It's taken us years to get there. And you have some bad eggs, and we've had to move some bad eggs on. And it's something that sometimes they're the hardest decisions, and sometimes they're your top performers you have to move on. But it is so important to me to have that the culture right in the business. And you look at the guys, and you would have experienced firsthand how much they share, they give to each other. They're so open with each other, mate. They send each other work.
They've got respect for each other. There's no one owner there that's better than the next one. Like I've seen, what's your new guy from Wollongong?
Yeah, Greg
came in, and mate, they took him in with open arms. You know what I mean? They didn't, they respected him straight. He'd only been in the job 5 minutes, but they respected him and brought him into that level straight away. It was really, really good to see.
It's an amazing thing to see, and like I said, I'm so proud of our teams and who we've got in the business now. And it's quite funny, I've been saying it probably for about 5 years now. We obviously have agreements with each of our guys, and I say the simplest way to, and excuse my French here, but the simplest way to explain this agreement is it's a no dickhead policy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's no dickheads.
If you're a dickhead, we'll find a way to move you on, because it really can ruin your business. We've had them in the business, and I think this goes for any business. This isn't just us. People will either make or break your business.
Correct.
100%.
From a cultural perspective. So I feel very lucky, very, very lucky to have an amazing crew. And, we're even to the point where our staff members from corporate office are mates with a number of the guys. And, I could genuinely say I would sit down and have a beer or a wine with any of my crew on a weekend. They're amazing.
You can see it, mate. It's fantastic what you've done there. Well done to everyone.
Can you just explain how the Total Fit-Out model is different to the stock standard shop fitting company with franchisees and head offices and things like that?
Yeah, cool. So you would have seen, you guys, work in this space yourselves, and often you'll work with a shop fitter that's, say, based in Brisbane, and, they're doing work from, up north, WA, SA,
wherever their retailer takes them.
Wherever their retailer takes them. With that, I think we all know, one, it adds stress. A big part of when I had my own business, it was very hard at the time to be around, my partner at the time. Like I was traveling every other week. We're trying to manage jobs in Victoria from the Sunshine Coast with trades I'd never used in my life before. We're working in northern Queensland where, it's just completely different to, working in a city environment. You're flying trades. I used to fly a lot of my trades across the country to get these jobs done. Now, what that does is, it's clear, it adds, time away from family for all these guys. And I think, family, like we talk about our business and culture, and we are a family. I think it's really important to have that family balance right at home as well. So we weren't able to achieve that doing that style of business. Plus then it was also adding a huge amount of cost for the client. Realistically, it's a 15 to 20% add-on of cost for a client if you're flying a whole team. You're traveling away, you're putting people up in accommodation. I just went, this does make sense. So I've got two ways to scale this business. First way is to scale it either by putting head offices in different states, which
is expensive.
All over the place. Yep, which is hard because then you still got to manage staff in each state. Or we take the model like GJ Garner did, local businesses in local areas, and this is where we really stand apart with what we do. Each of our offices are owned by a local business person. They work in that area. So, we talk about Brisbane. At the moment we've got across Brisbane four different offices across Brisbane looking after different areas. Now, they're not bound to do work just in that little Brisbane area. They can do it anywhere in Queensland. However, their big push is to spend all their time marketing locally, or what we call local area marketing.
Yes.
to build the relationships, build the network of staff, build the network of tradesmen and suppliers locally, so that when they deliver a job, they're there. It's construction, right? Stuff goes wrong. So the issue you find with a lot of these big companies is, something goes wrong in an area that they're not based in. They're trying to get trades to go out to fix it that they've never used before. They can't be there, 10 minutes later. You really lose that local side of it. So our model is just been so amazing in terms of being able to offer an international service across Australia and New Zealand, but do that locally. Like we've built, I remember for one client, we were building, I think, 5 or 6 sites for them at one time across 3 states in Australia plus New Zealand with different teams, but all our guys speak, they share. We were able to share all our quoting system with each other. Guys mentor each other. We put brand champions for a company in each state, so then that our brand champions all share information and mentor each other to make sure the job gets done right. So it's an all-in approach. And then, where stuff needs to get escalated, we've got corporate office there. Our role there really is a support team. If we're to look at a chain of command, mate, we're on the bottom. Our job really is to support our guys on the ground to do their job. Do their job amazingly and give a great service, provide them with great marketing, system support, systems, processes, contracts, all that kind of thing. So giving them the back end oomph of a big business, but whilst being a local business and becoming, and as we say, we want you to become the big fish in a small pond.
And your team behind the scenes do a tremendous job for those individual franchisees too, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
How many staff are based in corporate office there?
Yeah, so we've got about 5 at a corporate office, and we're growing that too. We're about to bring on another one. We've just held off on that for a couple of months, but got that person ready to go, who's actually a ex-franchisee, which is great. So he's very, very experienced in what he does, and his whole job is literally there to support our guys. So his job is a growth specialist. His whole job is to go around and spend time with each of our guys and help them in multiple areas of their business. And his pure focus is you help them grow, you help them become more successful.
That's tremendous too, because he'd have that knowledge of being one of them.
He's been at the front line.
He's been on that side of it.
Yeah, and particularly from the sales side as well. So that's one thing, we recognise a lot of builders aren't salespeople. Put a big push in the business would have been 8 months ago, and start the seed, I suppose, of, hey, it's time to get BDMs. If you want to grow, you can't do this yourself. You're great at building, and we very simply break the business 3 key areas: sales, estimating, delivery. And as I've said to the guys, which one are you? You can't be all 3.
3.
You can be average at 2 of them.
Yeah.
You can be really good at 1 of them.
Yeah.
So, pick what you want to be and get someone great in those other areas, and you've got a recipe for a great business.
Yeah,
so it's similar to when you first started out, you realised, hey, me on the tools isn't the best idea.
I'm a good BDM.
Yeah, you do not want me to build you anything.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the podcast. We have a word from our sponsor. KRGS Doors Security Mobile Trellis Barrier allows you to have a versatile trackless barrier at any length. Standing 2 meters in height and having no floor or head tracks eliminates any trip hazards or the need for bulkheads. Simply wheel the security mobile trellis barrier away when not needed. Perfectly suited when you need to prevent access to a certain section of the property, such as food courts or when parts of the shopping centre are closed. If you'd like more information, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au or call 1800 897 822. Now back to the podcast.
Just on that, mate, what's the biggest challenges you face in business, and how do you experience or overcome them?
Yeah, look, I think early on, like most businesses, and, I think we've all been here, cash flow early on is obviously a big one. And, particularly when you see guys, and I just feel so sorry for a lot of businesses that have just started out during this time as well. It is a tough position to be in. Business is stressful enough.
We started in June 2007, right just when GFC was about to, if you were ever going to kick off and survive, come out the other end, like 13 years later, here we are.
Yep. Mate, and I think, this, people say these are really scary times, and they really can be, but I see them as great times of opportunity. And we've all seen it, in the downturn. I had my business similar time coming out of the GFC, and, after a bust comes a boom. And, I'm actually really excited for what that'll bring. people have been on hold. In my view, people have been on hold for the last 18 months. We had elections and all that last year. They've been on hold from really making any big decisions. Felt like we're just starting to get some traction, and this happened. So all of a sudden, people can't stop forever.
Well, we noticed it, Jeremy, particularly after the elections, because here in New South Wales, obviously, we had a state election in March, and then a federal election in May. Mate, the day after the federal election kicked off, it was over. It was just a different. The orders just rolled in. You know what I mean? It was just completely different. And like you say, that's only 9 months ago. But I'm the same as you, mate. I think after we get back, mate, retail is just going to go mate, they will be, like here in Parramatta, Westfield, around Christmas time, open up for 24 hours a day, and they do some of them up in Brisbane as well. I think you'll see some of these Westfields, they'll go back to opening up 24 hours a day, like for a couple of days in a row, just because these stores have all got stock full of retail. And they can't send it back to the factories because the factories have got next season's fashions to come in, and the retailers have got to unload it somehow.
Yeah.
So, mate, I think it'll be a boom.
Mate, I really think there is, and there's, if people are taking this time right, this is a great time to reset, build your foundations, get your system structures right, and prepare for growth. I think this is people that sit back and go, oh, look, we're shut, we're doing nothing. We're scared. This is, we can't do anything with business. I think they're the ones that probably aren't going to do a whole lot. But coming out of this, there is going to be huge opportunity, especially for those that have taken the time to plan,
retrain,
and prepare for greatness, and retrain and rethink, and reinvent what they do. So I think there's a world of opportunity coming, and I just can't wait till it gets here. But back to your point around challenges, in business. I think obviously early on that cash flow piece, is obviously a hard one. We've been lucky enough to come through that, and that gets tested in a time like this when you're sort of preparing for. We sort of did our worst case scenarios, preparing for, okay, if we got zero income for 3 months, what's that look like? If we got, so, we're feeling lucky enough to come out of that. I think the government's done a great job around stimulus for businesses at the moment.
Absolutely.
Pretty excited on a seminar at 1 o'clock today, understanding how this new JobKeeper is playing out. So I'm excited to see what legislation they've put in and around that, and I hope it helps new businesses as well that can't compare to previous years.
Yeah.
But I think one of our biggest challenges that we consistently face, and I don't see this going away anytime soon, is the ability to bring on, and you would have seen this at our conference, bring on different people from different backgrounds, different beliefs, cultures, get them all on the same page, on the same level playing field, and really having the same focus and drive forward. Trying to get everyone on the same team can be pretty challenging. And like I said, that's something we've really worked on over the years, getting that right fit. Probably learned that, the time to do that is at the very beginning. When we look for a new franchise partner, the questions I probably ask now versus what I,
when
used
you first
to ask.
kicked off, yeah.
Yeah, are very different. My the way I see it is, I can train and help people do the technical stuff, right? At the end of the day, mate, and, no disrespect to builders, but I could put 1,000 builders in the same room. Who's going to build this the best? They're all going to put their hand up and say it'll be me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, mate, they can all build. You can hire somebody to build a great fit out. What you can't hire is character, and people skills. So we more so, focused around that now, and our challenge is to keep the culture we've got, even improve that, and ensure we're inclusive of everyone and give everyone, the opportunity to be great in the business. So
I think it's something you learn with being in business for a long period of time, Jeremy, is that we're the same. Like the questions that we ask any new staff that are coming on now compared to what we did 13 years ago are completely different. You know what I mean?
100%.
You learn by that.
That comes with experience.
It does, and you grow and change as a business as well. What you were as a business 5 years ago is different to a business that you are now, and what you're going to be in 5 years' time. So we grow and adapt and change, and it's all good.
It's interesting what you say there because, and as you said, you can teach anyone to build and things like that, but it comes to that character. And we, on a previous podcast with our motor supplier, CW Products, he said the same sort of scenario, that your attitude's everything. Come with the right attitude, I can teach you the skills.
100%. I can't agree with that more. It's amazing how many people think they'll come in with an ego. And that's actually, to be honest, biggest thing we look for as an attribute in a person or a new franchise partner coming into the business or a team member is lack of ego. Yeah. Because ego ruins businesses, in my view. It's very hard to get someone with an ego to help other people and to really be on that, really connect in a real way with other people. So, yeah, it's a big one.
That was one of Jack Gibson's famous, leave your scrapbook at the door.
Yeah.
Mate, you probably may have already answered this, and I think I do know the answer, but Total Fitouts has been in existence for 7 years now. What do you put your success down to?
Yeah, mate, 100% people. It really is our people. And that goes from both my team in corporate office, but to my franchise partners as well, to our master franchise partners. We've just got some amazing people in the business that, we go through our ups and downs like every other business, but the ability to stick it through those ups and downs, we don't always agree on everything. You try to get all the corporate office team plus 21 officers plus, a couple of master franchises to all agree on something, you're never going to get it. But the way we deal with that through the quality of our people and come to decisions and all move forward, I think has really been a success to our businesses. People's willingness just to accept and to help and actually, again, excuse my French, but, people's willingness to give a shit about other people. That would be the key thing I've seen in our business. Our guys actually care.
Yeah, that's a big thing, and we've mentioned it here as well, that getting them to care about the job and then also about the customer, because, hey, you want them customers to keep coming back.
Well, mate, you can be the best builder in the world, but if you don't have any customers, good luck to you.
Yes.
So
it's not only that franchise or that fit out they're doing now. You want to win the next fit out too, mate.
Yeah, mate, they're the most exciting. It's funny, when we measure, obviously, all our work, where our leads come from, and the ones I get excited about aren't the ones that we get offline or, how good our Google marketing is or not. It's our repeat customers.
Yeah.
And it's our referral customers. I had an example of one of our new franchise partners on the Sunshine Coast, actually, Sunshine Coast North. He's now looking at, so he did one cafe in Perigian, and this person's referred him 3 people in a matter of weeks. And he's now looking at 3 separate jobs. He's won one, and I think he's about to win another one.
So he's obviously impressed.
Google can't do that. Correct.
And it makes a big difference too. As you mentioned before, you had one retailer that you're doing work for in Victoria, 2 in Brisbane, 1 in New Zealand. To have all those guys on the same page as well to get that end result to make sure they come back for the next one.
And I think that's that's what I love about this business. You don't just have accountability. These guys aren't just accountable to themselves because they're all teammates. They're accountable to each other. So, they do work for what we call a corporate client, a national client. They feel obliged to ensure that the experience is good because they know if they stuff it up, they stuff it up for the guys over in New Zealand, Queensland, Victoria. So they're really driven to do a good job and look after the customer and give that same level of experience across the board, which is huge.
On a business front, who do you seek advice from?
Yeah, well, I mentioned, I've always been a huge fan of mentors. For, anyone listening, if you do not have a mentor, I cannot tell you how important it is to have a mentor. And it's even just from someone to talk to throw ideas at, to pull you back to the ground, to tell you being an idiot, mentors are amazing. And so, that's how we started this business. I think I mentioned before, one of my mentors at the time was Darren Wallace, who's now a business partner. So that's where that relationship started. Now, obviously, as a business partner, I've kind of gone, obviously still learned from Darren. He's a very experienced guy, and from other business partners, but I've also gone externally to that as well. So I've got a great guy, Anthony Russo, who started a brand called Pizza Capers. And sold that. So he built that to about 120 stores and sold that. Spent some time with him and pick his brain. But I'm also involved in several groups. So, across different areas in franchising as well. It's important to learn from others that have been there and done that. So I'm involved in several different business groups. I've got a couple of guys personally that I spent some time with. And I think most importantly is the people you surround yourself with as well. Like if I look at all, my mates, a lot of my mates are in business for themselves. They've gone through that journey. They've got great people around them. So, the way I see it is you surround yourself with great people, you generally turn out all right yourself. So bit of a mix for me.
Yeah, no, exactly right. There's a saying, it's like the 3 threes that you sort of want to spend a third of your time with people that are not on your level below, third of your time that are on your level, and then a third of your time with people that are above you to look up to.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. And I think, it's really important to spread that mix and also give back. That's one thing I think's very important for guys that have been there in business, and is to help find people younger than you. Often people are scared to ask for help. So I think sometimes just throwing that hand out as well, and, sharing what you know. It's not always right, but it's experience, right? Experience counts. So.
Yes. And what's worked and what hasn't worked is a big thing as well, so they can not make the same mistakes if they can avoid it.
Yep.
So, mate, away from work, how do you relax?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. I was trying to think about it. I'm like, having your own business, do you ever truly relax?
Never turn off.
But no, look, mate, I'm a big lover of wine. I'm actually studying wine at the moment. And intend on taking that passion further. There is a study on wine.
Wow. Is that a course at uni or TAFE or something like that you can go to?
Yeah, so it's called WESET. They're based out of London, but they're a worldwide qualification. So I'm studying that at the moment with another mate of mine studying viticulture, and it's a passion we're probably going to take a bit further in the coming years. So the wine space. So.
I've got a few mates that'd be interested in studying in wine.
Yeah, not just drinking wine. There's a bit more to it. Turns
out. A bit behind that.
It's funny. My now wife goes, all these words you used to use, you just sounded like a wanker. But she goes, but she goes, now I understand it's actually a real thing. I said, yeah, I've got a textbook to prove it.
Wow.
So mate, that's for me. I'm a social butterfly. I love being out drinking coffee, having wine, being social with friends. When isolated like this, we try to do nice long drives, and mate, I'm a big TV series buff, so that's the one thing I find really takes my.
What's your latest TV Netflix
series, I'm watching a series on Prime at the moment called Startup, which is great, but love Billions, Vikings, anything that's got anything to do with business, got a bit of violence action in it. I'm all bit of comedy. Love stand-up comedy. So
Startup. I have to have a look at that.
Startup. It's a great series. 3 seasons too, so you can get a bit addicted to it.
Okay.
But mate, pretty much anything to switch off.
Now, to end the podcast, we ask all our guests our fast 5 questions, and they're just a rapid fire, just to get a thought, get to know you a little bit better. So the first one is, what would be your last meal?
Mate, it's a mix of 2 things, and they don't necessarily go together well, but both amazing in their own right. So poutine, do you know what poutine is?
No. Fill us in.
So poutine's a Canadian specialty, I believe came out of Montreal originally, or Quebec. It's basically chips, gravy, and cheese curds.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've been to Quebec in Montreal, and I didn't have that when I was there.
You haven't lived.
No, obviously not.
Is that is that relatively available in Brisbane?
Yeah. Mate, it is. It's got a bit of a resurgence over here, so look out for it. You got to ask though. The key is is it cheese curds or do they just put normal cheese? All right, so there's my tip for you.
All right.
And the second one's a burrito. Can't go wrong with a burrito.
Yes, that's Mexican food is, I think, it's
on the up.
Tough to beat.
Tough to beat.
Tough to
beat.
beat.
Good Gomez. Can't go wrong.
And you may have already answered this next one. Drink of choice.
Yeah, mate. Wine, obviously. If I'm drinking red, I love a Burgundy. Burgundy's just way too expensive these days and over here. But something cheaper on that, a Beaujolais, which is the poor cousin. Or if I'm drinking white, a nice, dry Alsace Riesling.
You have done some study in this wine.
With your expertise, we might have to have another podcast, a wine time podcast.
That's a different podcast, different day.
Wait till I pass the course.
Okay.
Does your diploma come back on a bottle or something? Is that how they give it to you, or what?
Yeah, I hope so.
What is the thing you're most afraid of?
That is a really hard one. I'm not overly scared of a lot. I'd consider myself a bit of a risk taker, so it's not something that jumps to mind. But I've thought about that, and I reckon my ability, or ever losing my ability to laugh.
Yeah.
I don't take myself too seriously. I think the moment you take yourself too seriously, life gets really, really boring. So I reckon the ability, to not be able to laugh.
Yeah, good one.
That is, very right. What is your favourite TV channel?
Mate, I don't even know if TV channels exist these days, apart from Netflix and Prime. So they're me.
All streaming services.
All streaming services.
They have
I'm a
taken.
Gen Y, mate.
They have taken over the world, and I think it's going to be the future of television if it's not already here. That there won't be any channels; it'll be just everything's available
on demand,
and whatever
on
time
demand.
you want to watch.
Whenever you've got time to sit down and
100%,
watch it, it's just on demand.
Yep, exactly. The only TV channel I think I've watched, in the last 3 years would be ABC News, but that's the streaming one as well. So
Yeah.
And finally, if heaven does exist, what would God say when you arrived at the pearly gates?
what would God say? Well, I thought about the two things that I would say. First of all, turns out I was wrong. And secondly, I think you have the wrong Jeremy Dyer.
Yeah.
But what would God say? I think he'd probably go, yeah, I think I've got the wrong Jeremy Dyer.
Send him back.
You're on your way
Send
back.
him back.
Send him back. Send him back.
Well, that wraps up all the questions. I appreciate your time for joining us today on the podcast. Congratulations on your effort and the work with Total Fitouts, mate, because it is a tremendous business story of what you've achieved there.
Yeah, thank you, mate. And it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you guys, and look forward to being able to catch up in person soon, and valued everything you guys do. You guys have also got a great business, and very, very clearly focused on people as well. So it's been a nice mold working with you, and look forward to working more with you in the future.
It's about the relationships, mate.
100%.
Thanks, Jeremy, for your time. Been fantastic to chat.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
Have
mate.
an awesome-
Take care.
That wraps up our chat with Total Fitouts Managing Director Jeremy Dyer. For more information on Total Fitouts, visit www.totalfitouts.com.au. If you have missed any previous episodes of the KRGS Doors podcast, you can download them from our website, www.krgsdoors.com.au/podcast, or on your favourite podcast player, search KRGS Doors. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. This also boosts our ranking and my ego. As always, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Thanks. Till next time. The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, folding closures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au.